Let's choose a point on our planet. It doesn't matter whether it's a big city or a small town, if it's on the sea or in the middle of the desert. It neither matters which language is spoken, which god is worshipped, or which customs are followed. In any place, there will always be women and there will always be men, and gender violence always. Gender violence is a humankind problem. But let's do the following test. Let's open a newspaper and read the news on women violence. What do the headlines say? Do they tell us about a global problem, or do they tell us particular stories about certain individuals? Insanity, passion, jealousy, and even love stories abound. Love can never explain violence, and insanity, jealousy, or passion don't help either, because stories about people with irrational attitudes seem to be rare stories, and we said that gender violence is a humankind problem. For all this, let's find a way to explain what gender violence is, how it has spread worldwide, and how to stop it. In order to do so, let's analyse what violence is. Violence usually begins in a relationship between two parts, one who exercises it and another who suffers from it. Let's think together about this example. We'll call these two parts A and B. A and B can be two individuals, two groups, or even two states. What is necessary for a violent relationship to exist between A and B? Firstly, this relationship is usually unequal. It must be a power relationship. Let's imagine, therefore, that A and B are equal except for one thing. A has prestige. This is, A and B live in a society which appreciates A more than B. Then what happens? A can demand that B do certain things based on the social prestige and power that A has. And B, on the other hand, may want to earn that prestige she or he doesn't have. This is a power relationship because one of its components has more resources than the other. Prestige is a resource. Other resources can be money, physical strength, authority, and education. But power does not equal violence. There's one more missing element. What is that element? We've said that A has prestige. Now on top of that, let's add more resources. A has money, enough money for nurturing, clothing, education, and leisure. B has this resource but not enough to achieve development. Therefore, B depends on A. So far, our first element, power relationship. Between a worker and a company owner, there is a power relationship, and between a father and a son too. But this doesn't necessarily mean there is violence. In the example, we now assume that A, threatening B with taking away the resources B needs, harms B either physically or mentally, or deprives B from access to other resources, for example, freedom of movement. A is using resources to threaten, harm, or deprive B from something. That is violence. So now we have new concepts to explain violence. We talk of inequality, power, resources, threats, and harms. But here we want to explain one particular type of violence, gender violence. So now it's time to ask what gender is. Gender is a group of definitions socially built on what it means to be a man or a woman in our societies. What does that mean? It means that when we say I'm a woman, which is a social construction, we're saying much more than when we say I'm a female of the human species, which is a biological composition. Saying I'm a man or I'm a woman is basically stating a whole group of ideas, values, beliefs, and rules that come from the society we live in. These group of ideas define which attitudes, activities, and behaviours are expected from us if we're men or women. It's the social is-ought. And although every society is different, the groups of ideas that define what it is to be a man and what it is to be a woman are alike throughout the world. To understand it better, let's imagine that our planet is a great stage, and that when we're born we're given a script. This script represents the ideas that groups follow, and there is one script for men and a different one for women. This script says how the play director or society as a whole expects us to move, talk, to think, or to act. We're going to develop that social is-ought according to what the group of ideas shows is our gender role throughout our entire lives. This is because gender roles not only define what it is to be female and what it is to be male, as in a dictionary, but it also enumerates different rights, responsibilities, acknowledgements for each of us just because we're men or women. And not only that, these scripts or groups of ideas justify the reactions the community will have against those who don't fit in, that is, how the play director or society as a whole will react if somebody improvises or doesn't want to follow the script. And one of the ways to punish those who don't follow the script is violence. We've said that for violence to exist, there must be inequality. Therefore, where does this inequality appear? Because in this scenario, men and women can be protagonists, even playing different roles. The problem is that the play director or society as a whole values one of the roles more for certain given situations than others, the man's role. And do they all agree with this? No, but a great number of people do not argue about it either, their own or others' roles. They think that what they do is just natural and something they cannot fight against, because this is how things are and they've always been this way. This is called social norms naturalization and helps things to stay the same. We're surrounded by social codes which never stop telling us what is suitable for a woman to do and what it is suitable for a man to do. Where are those speeches or the script content? Everywhere. In our families, at school, in the media, in state policies, and at work. Let's do another test. Let's turn on the television or glance at a magazine. What do the social codes on women and men say? What is it that they show as normal? In the first place, just like decades ago, what seems to be the natural thing is for the woman to take care of household chores. This presumes that she takes care of the children and the old, does the housework, buys the food, cleaning products, and anything necessary to run the house. It seems logical that if the woman is the biological being who reproduces the human species, it should be her who should initially take care of the offspring. Men, on the other hand, appear to be the ones responsible for working outside the house, earning money and carrying out productive activities. They also choose how to spend the money on possessions, housing, automobiles, holidays, and anything outside the home environment. We all know that today many women work outside their homes. Why? There are multiple answers, but there is a common factor which lets us generalise. Societies are changing, and so does the stage. However, the script or the group of social ideas still says that women are the natural homemakers. How can we understand this? Simply put, women now do both jobs.